Is there even a way to fast track mindfulness? I think so. No, it doesn't have to do with you getting on a plane and heading to the Himalayas to meditate with a Buddhist monk. It doesn't have to do with you using certain drugs in order to change your psychoactive state of mind. It does not have to do with much, aside from a little bit of willingness and a little bit of effort. Stay tuned to find out these 4 tips to help you fast track your mindful journeys. So let's start off by throwing out the biggest misconception that many people believe mindfulness is. Mindfulness is not this effort to create a void within the mind. Mindfulness is very literal in the way that the word appears. You are filled with thoughts and emotions alike. To be able to engage with these things is the mindful experience. The basic definition of what mindfulness is to observe absent judgment. To observe what? Your feelings and your thoughts. Simple. Nothing more, nothing less. Or at least that's a good starting point for a lot of individuals. Because too much times do we get into the habit of saying, I need to be mindful because I'm so stressed. So you try to block out all the stress. Or I'm here trying to meditate, but I hear a lot of distracting noises. So we try to, of course, ignore those noises. That's not what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is this full embrace of everything that's happening internally and externally, and allowing yourself to be content and acceptant to what that experience is, no matter what. This is why I truly believe that mindfulness creates such a strong mind, and of course, a strong capability to tolerate what's happening within our mind and our emotions. But if you're fixated on just trying to clear out your brain, just trying to create this void, then you will never reach mindfulness. You will never give yourself the opportunity to become a better and more improved you just from practicing these very basic meditative exercises. So now that we're on the same page as to what mindfulness is, let's now understand or even look at how to fast track this experience for you. Tip number 1, practice mindful experiences. Now, there are many different forms of meditations out there. Even in DBT, dialectic behavioral therapy methodologies, there are a lot of mindfulness related exercises that we use for stress management. So knowing what type of exercises work for us allows us to utilize mindfulness in a much more engaging way. It can be as simple as you just sitting there cross-legged on your yoga mat or meditation pillow and just going through the motions of that meditative experience. Whatever comes, comes. And that's great. That's fine. But there are hundreds of different mindfulness experiences that you can definitely try at any given time. Even with meditation. There are transcendental meditations, there are self-affirmation meditations, there are deep breathing meditations, which I love to specialize in. However, there are more than just meditations when it comes to mindfulness, such as 5 senses exercises. I can look out the window and just observe the things that I see. I can allow myself to practice mindful eating. I could even allow myself to really recognize that mindfulness is just about being present and do literally anything from cooking to cleaning to watching television, engaging in conversation. To be present is the mindful experience. To remove our judgment from that presence is the real meat of the mindful experience. Now, with these different activities that you can utilize, and I'll put a link down below for some different resources for you to just access to see what might suit your fancy. But with these different mindful experiences, we gotta be willing to just try new things, because having an open mind is what mindfulness is in the first place. Having that willingness to engage in another stimulating experience can actually open a doorway for us to see that there are so many different opportunities for us to be mindful, not just waiting until I leave work or the kids are asleep so I can practice my meditation. No. Mindfulness is not about meditation and meditations alone. It's about your open-mindedness towards the activities of basic daily life and how you can start to be more present in these activities. So if you don't find that a certain mindful approach is working for you, such as my deep breathing exercises that I do in almost all of my meditations, if you find that sitting there still, just being guided from a voice in this nice meditative position is not working for you, then find something new. Because again, the willingness to be able to be present in whatever you choose to do is what we're trying to aim for here. Let's jump into tip number 2. Embrace the evidence. Once you practice mindful experiences, you're going to want some evidence, some data to reflect on, to see what your experience was like so that you know how to change that experience in the future so it benefits you further. For example, if you were sitting down for, again, a 10-minute meditation and you were able to see a lot of thoughts and feel a lot of things, that's great. That's a good mindful experience. However, what makes mindfulness very constructive and what's going to fast track your overall mindful learning experience is being able to reflect on these experiences. So I always recommend write things down after you're done your meditations or your mindful engagement. Think about how you felt, think about what you saw, think about the positions you found yourself in regarding your mindset or your emotional attitude. Just think about all these things. Have them listed out there on paper. You don't have to write it down. You just need to reflect. How are we supposed to grow if we don't know what we are growing away from? We need to be able to see that, and with a true full mindful engagement, we're able to see everything. And in this observation, absent judgment, we're not shaming the things that we don't like. We're not blaming ourselves for the circumstances of our life that are less than fortunate. We're not diving into that. We're just examining the evidence. We're accepting the evidence. And from there, you might have a much more confident approach in being able to change the things that you do not like. When it comes to changing the things that we do not like, there are many ways to look at this. Maybe it's something that has to do with your personality, your life conditions. But I want you to even focus on something more simple than all of that. Those are huge complexities that have to do with our environment, and a lot of our environment we don't have control over. But what you do have control over is you. I love deep breathing exercises for one particular reason. It reminds me a lot like drugs. And that sounds weird, right? Why are you encouraging I'm not encouraging the use of drugs. It's not what I'm saying here. But it reminds me a lot like the use of drugs because of the effect that it can have on your body, purely because of how you forcefully stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. What is your parasympathetic nervous system? Well, this is a very important region of your body that's intertwined with your central nervous system that's going to be responsible for a lot of your flight, fight, freeze mechanisms, meaning that stress is very much involved with this portion of your body. So in knowing now that your parasympathetic nervous system can be greatly stimulated for a positive benefit that can actually affect the way that stress starts to affect you. And not even just stress, it also helps promote sleep, it also helps promote your digestive system, it helps with so many things that helps you function. And knowing that there's a way that you can actually stimulate this area of your body, when I first found out, I was like, wow, just by breathing? I do this every day. Wow, I do this every moment of every day. And you're telling me that I can now use this to feel better? Well, tell me more. Deep breathing is a very fun exercise because it helps a lot of people that might have trouble with just being mindful. It gives you an anchor of engagement. So if you find yourself lost in thoughts, wherever you may be, coming back to a breath exercise gives you that return compass back to the present moment. To say, I am choosing, remember, this is about conscious intention. It's the same way that we have the intention to go for a hike in order to de-stress or to go to the gym in order to get some frustration out. I am choosing to recognize that I'm breathing in and to recognize that I'm breathing out. To recognize that I'm breathing in, to recognize that I am breathing out. You choose to anchor yourself with a mindful engagement. That starts to cultivate a lot of strength. And for people that might be, less than privy to how this can actually exponentially develop you as a human being, well, imagine just being able to come back to the mindful moment in the heat of an argument, in those moments where you feel like you're in panic, in the moments where you feel like your life is breaking down, in the moments where you're so anxious that you just don't know what to do or say except for ball up and freeze. In those moments, to learn how to control your mind and to access that skill in those moments where you need it the most is huge. Not only huge towards your ability to cope, but huge towards your ability to develop resilience towards your fears. Your fears are always going to be there, such as the fear of losing control. But if you now prove to yourself with reason and evidence that you are able to maintain control through your mindful experiences, then reaching for the skill when you need it most will become that much more accessible to you. And for our final tip, tip number 4, this one is very much related to tip number 1, which is understanding what mindfulness is. Know that mindfulness is not a personality change. It is a perspective shift. Think of it this way. The old saying of the glass half empty or the glass half full. It's a perspective. You either look at the glass half empty as a very pessimistic viewpoint, meaning that there are things that we do not have and there are things that we want, or you look at it as a glass half full, a more optimistic perspective, meaning that there is a lot we already have, however we can hold a little bit more. Those perspectives in themselves hugely important because you're looking at the same stimulus but having a different emotional and mental experience when receiving that information. Mindfulness is exactly the same thing. You are shifting your perspective. This is why it's always important to understand that mindfulness awareness is observation absent judgment. How that affects your personality in the long run? Well, I can't really even give you the answer to that because that's hugely dependent on you. But if you gave yourself a moment to be open-minded, empathetic, non-judgmental towards your processes of thinking and feeling, then in that moment, you truly build the fullest accurate understanding towards what is going on. When you then choose to bring mindful experiences outside of yourself, into the world around you, in your conversations with your loved ones, with complete strangers, in the way that you view the news and all the troubles that's happening around the world, in the way that you view your life and all the stresses and all the triumphs and everything included, and the way that you start to view your one human experience, a little bit of a perspective shift can help you create a healthier viewpoint, a more optimistic viewpoint, a happier, more fulfilling viewpoint. And that's something that I think you deserve. Mindfulness can be your gateway towards that, if you truly want it. But don't expect it to happen right off the bat. For many people, it's going to take practice. That's why mindfulness needs to always equate itself to a practice, not an event, not only an exercise, not a retreat that you go to and spend $10,000 on, but a practice. Something that you can do right before you go to sleep, while you're brushing your teeth, while you're on the toilet, while you're engaging in conversation, while you're on your way to work. You are choosing to consciously be present and practice the mindful experience. Yes, I guarantee you, it will become second nature after a while. But in your moments of development, be a little bit more insightful towards the hurdles you have to overcome. Bringing you back to one of our earlier tips, embrace the evidence. Be a little bit more willing to try new things, especially deep breathing exercises. Be a little bit more optimistic towards what you're actually trying to achieve from this mindful engagement. It's not as simple as, I just want to be present for right now because I'm stressed. But being present means that you choose to be here, grounded in this world and in this reality, meaning that you are now accountable for everything that you do and say. And that's amazing because that's control and that is power. To fast track your mindfulness, follow these 4 tips. If anything else, feel free to, of course, drop it in the comments down below. We try to respond to as much as possible. Thank you for listening to this talk. I hope you got something from us today. This has been The Detail, Ramon Phipps. Stay mindful. Hi guys, this is Ramon Phipps with The Detail. I sincerely thank you for watching this video today. I very much appreciate it. Every like, comment, share, and subscribe helps this channel grow to its fullest potential. And all you want to do is keep on giving you guys free content. So please go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share for content that is focused on guided meditations with breathwork specializations, open topic discussions such as this one, with a focus on, of course, mental health and mindfulness content, and of course, educational workshops so that we can better our skills that we preach. Stay mindful, guys.